Hello everyone. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to install the Virtualbox guest editions under Virtualbox in Ubuntu 11.04. What Virtualbox is a virtual machine program that essentially allows you to run an operating system within an operating system. In this case we are running Ubuntu 11.04 under VirtualBox, and virtual machines generally are referred to as guest machines, whereas the operating system running the virtual machine software is generally referred to as the host machine. And what the guest editions allow us to do is it provides us with support for shared folders, which allows us to share files between the host and the guest machine. Other features include a seamless mode, which will actually take our guest machine's interface and actually kind of tightly integrate it with our host machine. So we'll actually see the panels in Ubuntu represented in our host machine. In this case it's Windows 7, but it could be Windows XP or whatever version of Windows you're using, or maybe you're using a Mac or possibly Linux as well. But yeah, it would allow that. We'd actually see the panels inside the host machine. This actually it makes things easier, so we're not really switching between the host and the guest machine. It just kind of feels like it's just one machine, and the guest machine actually acts kind of like an application under the host machine. So yeah, another thing too is 3D accelerated support, which we'll actually need for GNOME 3, and we're gonna start that now. So first thing we're going to want to do is go to System, Administration, and then Synaptic Package Manager. If you're running a different version of Linux, the instructions are going to be similar but slightly different. You would just bring up your package manager, and in this case we're going to search for build-essential, and what this package is several compilers which we'll actually need for building the modules when we install the guest editions. And in this case it's already installed, but if it wasn't installed and we need to install it, we would click on this little square here and then select Mark for installation, and then we would apply that, and then we'd accept that. And then the other thing we need to do is go to Applications, Accessories, Terminal, and what we're going to type here is uname space -r. And what this is going to do, it's going to tell you which version of the Linux kernel is actually running, which we'll need in the next step when we install the Linux header files, which will be specific to that version displayed there. So we're going to search Linux Linux headers, and let's go down here. As you can see, one of them is already installed. If you didn't see that, the version is 2.6.38-8-generic. As you can see, that packages are installed here, and I'm actually going to install this generic -PAE file here too, because it says here this package provides Linux kernel header files for 2.6.38 on x86, and I'm actually running the x86 version. I'm assuming you know which architecture you're actually running on. You kind of need to know when you were actually choosing your specific ISO file that you downloaded, and then when creating a virtual machine. So I'm assuming you know which one. So you're going to mark that for installation, and then you're going to go to Apply, and it's going to, if you see here, it says apply the following changes to be installed, you can click for the little drop down box there. And it's going to say all the things installed. Apply. It's going to download the package files and then install it. And this here is actually one of the strengths of Linux and BSD and other Unix flavors, is that all your applications are installed from, well, I shouldn't say that. You could compile from source and stuff like that, but generally most users will just install everything in their package manager, and all those packages are actually updated and managed at a remote server, generally called a repository. And with these repositories, it allows us to download packages from that server and install them. So in essence, it's a lot more secure because you're only trusting a few software sources instead of, say, on Windows, where you're actually installing software from who knows where. Like, you would just type in Google, I don't know, video editing software, and then you find one, you just install. You don't really know if you trust that software source. Whereas under Linux, when you actually have your package manager set up with your repositories, you're only trusting a few software sources, and usually they're from somewhat big companies, like in this case Canonical, which distributes Ubuntu. And let's be honest, like I know there are some people out there who don't really trust larger companies and stuff like that, but they do generally tend to be a little more safer than some guy's random website who posted an exe file for you to download. So yeah, that's one of the strengths. And the other thing too is that the package manager will actually manage updates as well, security updates and sometimes feature updates, depending on the software source. So once we have that installed, the next thing we're going to want to do is, as you see on the desktop here, I've already inserted the disk, and I'm going to double click on that. And as you can see, here are all the files containing the guest editions. Here's the Windows one. Here's the AMD 64 version of Windows, x86 one. Here's the Linux one. Next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find out where, in terms of the Linux file system, this is actually located. So we're going to want to go to Go Location, and it's going to bring up a location bar here, which is going to tell you where specifically it's located on the file system. You're going to want to right click, copy and paste on that. Sorry if I'm going a little too fast. And then you're going to bring up your terminal again. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to change directory to that, and you're going to do that by typing cd space, and then you're going to want to paste that location into there. And what that's going to do is all your commands typed into the terminal here, it's going to be relative to that directory. And in the case of a lot of commands, that matters, because like in this case here, we're actually going to be running a setup file from that location, and we wouldn't be able to run that setup file if our reference point wasn't the actual location of that file. So the next thing we're going to do here is, and if you don't understand this, no big deal, we're going to type sudo. What this is going to do is it's going to make the next command executed with root permissions. And what root permissions allow us to do is to run the command without any restrictions on what we can do, essentially. And then we're going to type in chmod space +x. And what this is going to do, it's going to modify the permissions of the file that I'm going to specify after. It's going to modify those permissions to allow me to execute that file. you could actually do to remove executable permissions. You could remove even read or write permissions, stuff like that. And then the next thing is, as we can see in the actual folder here, what we're looking for is VBox Linux editions .run, and we're going to type in VB and then hit tab, and what tab does, it auto completes the command based on letters that are all the letters that, well, it can actually complete up to. In this case, it goes up to VBox because it doesn't know what to do next, because we can see here we got VBox Linux edition, VBox Solaris editions, VBox Windows editions. It doesn't know how to go farther because it doesn't know specifically if you want the Linux Windows ones. So the tab autocomplete there went up to the number of characters that actually knows what you want it to be. So in this case, we want VBox Linux editions. I can just type L here and then hit tab, and it's going to do the rest of them, because as we can see here, VBox L, the only one here is that has VBox L is Linux edition. So when I hit tab, it specifically chose that file because it couldn't be anything else. So we're gonna hit enter here. It's gonna ask for my password and type that in. So that changed the permissions there. And then the next thing we're gonna want to do is type sudo /vb tab l tab, and this is going to actually execute the file here. This is just basically saying if either we've already detected another previous installation. In my case, it was actually an older installation. So do you wish to continue? Yes. And now it's going to go through with the actual installation. This takes a bit because during the actual process it's removing modules and then it's compiling modules and stuff like that. Yeah, see, removed existing modules, done. Now it's still removing the rest of it. If you get that complaint, only worry about it if the building of modules starts to fail. In this case, it shouldn't, because I've already done this before. And it's going to take a while, so I'm actually going to pause this video and be right back. Alright, and we're back. And it seems here that everything went okay. It completed all the building of the modules, and all we would have to do next is to restart the system, and we'll actually have OpenGL support. As you see, OpenGL is the graphics library for 3D acceleration. We'd have shared folder, XOR server, I won't get into that, graphics libraries and desktop services. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any problems, post some comments in the video. If you like the video, then. I hope this was helpful.